All right, let's go. Welcome to eCom Raw Reality episode 43, where we talk everything about Shopify, e-commerce, meta ads, email marketing, and basically a holistic approach to e-commerce. And in this one, we will chat about winning in a boring way in e-commerce. And why I want to actually bring this up is because some businesses out there are boring but are very successful. And another way to look at this is that if you actually look at many of the millionaires, even billionaires out there, they are usually in boring businesses, meaning that it's nothing like fancy. It might be some kind of energy drill, maybe restaurants, and so many things that you can't even think of just because like they are so boring. They are like part of our life and everything, but they are not flashy. They are not anything that you would make a vlog about. You wouldn't necessarily have something to show on your phone, right? You wouldn't show any fancy, let's say, app or anything like that. And to some extent, when you are thinking of actually having success in e-commerce with your Shopify store, with your agency and so on, in most cases, you win by actually following a process, which in most cases is boring. Meaning that you have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and then you'll get a good result. Or if you are not guaranteed to get a good result, you will get one that's pretty good, meaning that it's of very high standard, right? And that's why many businesses out there, which are very big, move slow, because they have so many processes that it's true, they give you predictability. However, it doesn't offer flexibility. So that's one downside, but at the same time, think of it like this. Would you be, let's say, unhappy because you don't have flexibility when your business is making $10 billion a quarter, like Google or like Microsoft and all of these companies, right? Because many of them, Google included, sometimes just move slow because they could have done so much more until now. But sometimes they have to move slow because they have a big team, they have a reputation, they have a cash flowing business basically. So they don't have to always create something new, and sometimes they can just rely on what they have. Just like Meta, they have an advertising business and it's printing them money. However, then they have the, let's say, reality labs, the metaverse part, where they spent tens of billions but they lost. And at the same time, is that a bad approach? No, because they know that they need to focus on other things, right? They have the boring business here that works, and they need to focus on the new shiny thing here that it's more, I would say, future oriented, right? Because we know things change over time. And the main reason why I want to bring this up with the boring winning approach is because, for example, in e-commerce, it's all about data. It's all about numbers, right? Meaning that, how do you actually make money when it comes to e-commerce? Well, to keep it simple, you spend, let's say, on ads, $1,000, you make in revenue $3,000, and you maybe have a profit of $500, right? That's the simple approach formula. And what you need to do basically is to just repeat that each and every day. Basically, make sure that your numbers are looking good. Keep an eye on them. Are they going in the right direction? Are they going in the not so right direction? And based on that, you take different decisions, right? And this is, in most cases, boring, especially when things work. Because when things work, you don't really have to, and sometimes you don't even need to make changes. Because if something works, right? If you have a golden goose, if you get one golden egg a day, if you make, I don't know what amount would make you happy, but let's say $1,000 a day in net profit, right? Which is decent. And you do that predictably, meaning that you don't stress out. It's just boring, but you don't stress out necessarily, right? $1,000 a day, 365 a year. Let's say post tax, right? So it's an even bigger amount. And all you have to do is just look at some numbers daily. If they are going in the right direction, sometimes you just don't have to do anything, right? Because you have the systems, everything is working well, the machine is well oiled, and yeah, you can always focus on making things better and so on, but sometimes you don't want to do too many new tests or things when things are going well, right? And this is something that I'm also seeing with many e-commerce brands. When we are always testing something new on Meta, like we just don't have success because we're trying a new variation, new angle, new concept. We're trying to bring new people into the funnel. Meta's algorithm then picks up on the fact that we also have a different audience, and then it might show the older ads which worked to that new audience, right? So there are all these factors, and sometimes the defensive approach actually works because you have something that's stable, and that doesn't mean we shouldn't test other things, right? That's why ideally we do focus on the boring part as much as possible, 80%, 90%, because that's what actually like builds wealth. And that's what almost everyone needs to do until they get the luxury, let's say, of just like fucking around, or let's say focusing on other things. Because work-life balance is something, for example, that is easier once you do have more money, more skills, more disposable income, and all of that, right? But in the beginning, for example, you do have to put in some of that additional workload on your shoulders just to either get more wealth, get more skills, depending on what you prefer, more eyeballs, right? There are many other things. And in many cases, it is boring. Even if you think about YouTube, right? If you want to have success on YouTube, one of the best ways, if you want to do it predictably, is to actually do more research, script, copyright, and focus, let's say 10 hours on the actual research, script, even filming and editing, probably way more than 10 hours, 10 hours research, 10 hours editing and so on, right? So it gets to maybe 20 hours for just like one video. And this is for beginners more or less, right? And then you are more likely to get a good video that will get views because you just like hit on so many check marks. And it's not like it's a secret. What do you need on a YouTube video? Well, you definitely need a very good thumbnail. You definitely need a very good title. And those are actually the most important to get that attention, right? And then basically with the content, you just don't have to disappoint, right? It doesn't need to be Mr. Beast style, right? Because like if we look around at many YouTubers, it's not like they look amazing, they speak amazing, they have anything in particular that's wow, right? It's just that they hit on all of those check marks that really matter, right? Offering value, talking with enthusiasm as much as possible, just being consistent, right? So nothing that's out of the ordinary. Yeah, it's true. You can also be out of the ordinary, but no one or not everyone, not even like 2-3 people will be the same, and not everyone will be like a Sam Sulek, right? Not everyone will be a Casey Neistat. Not everyone will be a Gary Vee, right? Like you do have these personalities that just have the it factor, that X factor. But most of us, like we're not going to be that special, right? Unless like we really dig deep and try to find what is our special talent, what we really like to do and can do 24 hours a day even without sleeping, right? Unless it's about that, which in most cases it really isn't, right? Because sometimes you just aren't that special, right? Even I'm aware, like I'm not that special. I mean, I could be even in the top 5% in terms of IQ, right? Which, I mean, who knows? Because even I wouldn't know. And actually, the higher the IQ, the less action you take. So that's actually not even helpful, because that's why overthinkers in many cases just don't get so far ahead in life, because they just think too much. And sometimes it's not about actually thinking, but about taking action. And that's why, for example, if you look at most personalities out there, they are more so extroverted, right? Like they actually speak before they think in many cases, instead of, let's say, introverts, overthinkers who do some extent the opposite. They think and then they talk, and sometimes they don't talk because they think too much. So these are just examples to showcase the fact that in many cases nothing is like that special, and there's always some kind of system approach that is boring, because most of us actually do prefer predictability in almost everything. With food, we kind of want to know that something will actually taste good. When we go to the doctor, we want a doctor that kind of knows what they're doing, right? I mean, maybe you don't expect them to have all the answers, but in many cases, like, you actually do expect them to have all the answers to your problems, because otherwise, who else? So that would be a lack of predictability and stability and safety. And we all want some kind of safety. And I mean, the only way to get that is by actually knowing, if you go to a doctor, if you go to a service provider, if you start an e-commerce brand, if you find a map with or from someone who had success before, and they are confident and they can show you with testimonials and everything that they've actually done that before, you just have to follow the map. Of course, you would have more confidence in actually following that map because you know it will get you from point A to point B. And all you'll have to do is follow the map. And the map is just one step at a time, going from one point to another, taking different routes, action steps, and that's pretty much it. So in most cases, nothing is like undercover, a secret, right? We just have to follow a step-by-step process. And sometimes if you don't know it, you can actually ask ChatGPT, right? So to actually end this, we'll end it with a pro tip here that I'm also giving myself. If we are unsure of what to do next with something, then especially nowadays, we don't need the best of friends, we don't need to be in the right environment and everything, because we do have ChatGPT and other AI models. So if we have questions, we can definitely rely on them and make sure that we ask the questions that we need an answer to, and the answer is probably there. It's probably in a book, it's probably in someone's mind, and in most cases it is actually in our laptop, phone, on ChatGPT or any other AI model. So that's pretty much it for today. The boring approach, which is fine. Take a coffee and enjoy the boring life. And with that being said, that's pretty much everything for this one. And until next time, peace out.